Today, we're going to set up Grok 4 inside of Cursor. If you have not done this yet, Cursor has just now given access to everyone to allow you to use Grok 4 inside of Cursor. So for those who haven't been following online in the Twitterverse, I kind of want to get you caught up just a little bit as far as what's been happening. When it was first launched a couple days ago and available inside of Cursor, there was a problem. The problem is that it wasn't as responsive as it was before. And Elon Musk made this claim that Cursor is currently lobotomizing Grok with a bunch of extra communication. And when you were configuring this inside of Cursor, you may have had some problems. So since that post, the Cursor team and XAI teams have been pretty much working nonstop to integrate this together. And today is Saturday, July 12th. Here in California, and I'm basically going to show you really quickly how we can get this configured and test the latest configuration and see how good it is. Grok 4 scored pretty high on a lot of benchmarks, and when I tried to test it in the web browser using the heavy mode in my live stream a couple days ago, I didn't have a lot of impressive results, and today we're just going to go ahead and take a look and see if it's a little bit different since all of these different updates. These models change all the time, and so it's really important to come back and test them again and see how they perform. So let's go ahead and I'll show you really quickly how to get this set up. So in order to get this set up in Cursor, all you do is hit the little gear icon at the very top right, and you'll find this to be true for a lot of other models. And then when I move my head to get a little bit further, there's a little models section here. So we're going to go to this models section and click that. And in here, you'll see the list of available models, but we see it's actually not currently listed. So you can hit view all models and keep scrolling for them. We actually see it right here. So there's two of them that are currently available. One is with this little brain icon. Actually, it's only one that's available. See, I can't really read too well right now. And so if we hit Grok 4 at the very top, Grok, if you just type in the search, it will actually filter them for us, which is really nice. So the only one that's available here is this little extended thinking icon here. And so once we enable that, we should now see it available here on our drop-down list. And in order for you to get to this drop-down list, you have to enable max mode. If you don't have max mode enabled, then you won't be able to see it. Or if you do see it, I think you'll see it here. And is it max mode? Okay. Oh, okay. So yeah. So get a premium. Okay, we have to turn on max mode. So it is available there. So if I turn off max mode, I think I could still use it. I think. Okay. And then let me see if I can. This is a little bit confusing as far as the user interface, but we're taking a look at this live. This is, I think, really important for us to kind of talk about this. So it doesn't give us any additional information about what's going on here. And for those who are wondering, what is max mode in Cursor and should I actually enable it or not? Max mode basically allows the model to have more tokens available. So in a model where they'll say they'll have 128 context window, a lot of times in Cursor, if you don't have max mode enabled, you'll probably get a certain percentage that's much smaller. It's not actually publicly documented, so we really don't know. But if you turn on max mode, you'll basically get more of that available to send over to the model. And in my experience, I find if I have max mode enabled, it is much, much closer to just using the API for this type of thing. So in all of these cases, you're going to be paying for the API costs, by the way. So if you do enable Grok 4 and go into max mode, like I have enabled, you're going to be basically paying directly. So with that said, now that we have it enabled, we should be able to kind of start doing some stuff in our code here. And one of the problems I thought I would tackle today is on my app, raytranscribes.com, I have a way for people to get signed up. This is basically my landing page. But my app is actually in a completely different repo. And in order for people to actually log in, they have to know the exact URL. I don't have a URL button that will say, hey, log in here if you're an existing user or anything like that. So I thought it'd be really interesting to see how good this model is inside of Cursor and see if it can actually find and add this type of information. So I'm going to just give it that request. I currently just have the agent enabled. And I'm sort of expecting it to kind of figure it out by itself, right? So I'm just going to remove this from its context, and then I'm just going to let the agent kind of do its work here. So I'm going to say, I think before I do anything, I want to make sure I set up a different branch so that way I don't just check this stuff right into the main branch and do these types of things. So one of the ways I like to work is just go ahead and go to branch, go ahead and create a new branch. And I'm just going to call it feature / fix sign in. And then I'm going to go ahead and publish the branch. So that way it's currently available. And then we should be currently in this branch right now. And so I'm just going to go ahead and give those instructions to Grok 4 Max. As of now, my website / landing page does not have a login if you are an existing user button. I'd like to add that here in my navigation so that existing users will be able to sign in to the app. The actual app is in a different repo. So the URL that we will direct them to is, and I'm just going to type in app.raytranscribes.com. Okay. And then, yeah. And then I think I'm going to say, I want you just to review my code base and take a look and give me some suggestions as far as where we think the best places to put this type of thing for my app. I don't want to have it in too many places, but I want it to be obvious for those folks who already have an account and want to log in again. Of course, this should be available on mobile and on desktop. And I think I should also say, and because I'm using ShadCN and Tailwind for CSS, you'll have to take a look and make sure we don't repeat code. Okay, so this is a pretty big request. I'm just going to go ahead and send this off to the agent and we'll see what happens. So, all right, so this is kind of doing its thing there, and it's going to be planning the next moves. So yeah, with Cursor's latest update, it starts to do like a little bit of a plan. It's going to search for how is the navbar implemented. So I think this is its own little thinking process, and you can kind of see that it's actually planning its next moves. So this is really interesting update from Cursor. We're using the Grok 4 Max plan, and I'm kind of watching it walk through my code base, which is really, really fun. One of the advantages of using it in Cursor as opposed to using it on the web browser or something like that is the fact that you're going to have Cursor's like intelligence. It has access to all my code, so it's digging through everything and trying to figure this stuff out. So it says, based on a review of your code base, focusing on the navigation structure, I'll outline my suggestions for adding a login button that points to here. I'll keep it focused on making it without over repeating it across the site. Okay, this is really great. It's basically just kind of repeating back my instructions. And since you have ShadCN UI components, my suggestions would emphasize reusing the patterns. This is really great. And the styles over to avoid deduplication. So the key insights from so like this is kind of cool. It actually did a code review, which is really, really nice. I'm really digging this actually. This is really cool. So navigation structure is handled in here. So it's actually digging through and telling me its thinking process or what it's doing. I find that super helpful. I know I like to use Claude Code a lot. And so this is just kind of me hopping in and trying this out. And this type of information and feedback for me is also useful because I didn't have to tell it specifically to list this stuff out. So I do find that useful. So I like to click through the code and kind of read and understand, what it's thinking about and then what parts of the things that it's doing. So there's also a menu via nav menu and a mobile drawer. So that's already a prominent CTA start today. So I like that it's actually listing this out. This is really cool. So it's also talking about UI consistency, no duplication issues if we extended the nav bar with the central nav, and then responsiveness considerations. This is great. So suggested placements. The best place would be to place it in here in the nav bar as always visible, sticky, where users can expect account-related actions. So add as a button in the nav bar in mobile. Why here? This is great. New user, start today, or existing, login, making it obvious without overwhelming the UI. I like this. And then place it in the div class here in the nav bar, align 123. This is cool. Yeah. Man, this is awesome. And then style it as an outline button to differentiate it from the start field today, and then example markup. So I like how it also knows that I have a site config, and then it's going to basically say, it's going to generate a new URL. So in this site config, it's actually a config file. Let me move my head a little bit. And so in this config file, I actually have a list of URLs. And so it's going to put itself in here. It's actually it's already in here. And so it's just going to reference this as far as putting it in here, which is super awesome. I actually ran this as a background agent task last night, and I was using Sonnet and O3, and I just could not even get it to do what this is doing. So I'm actually already fairly impressed for what it's done so far. And I wasn't actually expecting this to be this good. to be honest, I really wasn't. I was like, okay, if Sana didn't get it, then whatever. But Cursor has improved a lot since it's released, and it looks like they have been optimizing here. I'm already super impressed just by this one, thoughtful process here. I did give it a very detailed prompt, but it's possible. I mean, this is just the way I prompt normally, anyways. As an alternative, okay, where not to add it. Additional recommend is keep things simple. Let me know if you'd like me to refine and implement. Please go ahead and implement this. It looks good. Oh, I accidentally hit the wrong button. Please go ahead and implement this. It looks good. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this going. And after that's going, let me just go ahead and catch up with the comments. I know we just kind of started with this live stream coming in super hot, and I appreciate everyone who's been able to show up so far. So Dev Mind said, hello, how's it going? You should test Kimi K2 with Klein. This is something that I'm definitely going to go ahead and look at, and we'll have some live streams. So make sure you subscribe. And then there is a little icon that they actually have to change to be alerted for my live streams when they go live. I try to go live right around 9 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time. And sometimes I do earlier, sometimes I do later. So make sure you stay up on that for sure. I love Cursor, but I hate it too. I just use it all the time. I just have Pro Sub right now and then just paying as I go. You have to pay $2,000 a month for max headroom mode. It just depends on what you're doing, Kino. And why would you ever not use max mode? There are certain times where you don't necessarily always have to. And I think the more that you code and the more you use these types of things, the more you'll kind of start to understand where you need to get the supercar, race car, NASCAR thing out. And then where you also maybe just need the little Prius to go to the grocery store, right? You don't always need to drive the Ferrari to the grocery store is kind of the way that I'm treating these language models, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's what's up. I want to see a less powerful tool that hallucinates after 3 prompts. I've been hearing a lot of good results about Kimi 2, by the way. And I think we're going to probably find some interesting thing in there as well. Yeah, that's what's up. Is Grok 4 any good for coding experience so far? We'll take a look. I think this is going to be an interesting stream to see how it's doing. So far, I'm really liking what it's doing here for its reasoning and thinking. And it just like that added my code into the build. And I think I have it here as a button and then adds it in here as a button as well. It was a pretty fast fix, but I did enjoy the thoroughness of that thing. And I'm throwing something small at it right now. I'm just really trying to hand it something really small. If it can do this, then this is promising. We'll just kind of keep building up and add way more features and stuff like that. This could actually be really fun. I wasn't really expecting much because my live stream using Grok 4 heavy on the web was a total L. And so I don't that's only one perspective of doing stuff on launch day, which is really crazy. So it's always good to kind of not really bring too much bias in. So I'm just going to run the dev server real quick, bun dev. And then we're just going to take a look and see how this really cooked for us. So I think I have this here, localhost 3000. So, okay. So, oh, that's nice. Look at that. That's cool. So in light mode, in dark mode, it says start today, log in. And this was, yeah, perfect. Awesome. Awesome. Let me go back. So if I could just go to raidtranscribes.com, this doesn't have it yet. It's not yet live. And then I want to do mobile mode. In Safari, do Control Command R. And then in Control Command R, you can actually resize and test your different sizes, which is super nice. You can also put in the dimensions up here. So you can say, I want an iPhone Pro Max size, and then it'll just do that for you. You can also test if your iPhone Pro Max is in length mode or small. I could do iPhone SE. So in my iPhone SE, my UI is super saucy and super delicious. Yes. And then if I hit this little drawer, you have this, and you also have the login button, which is super awesome. Oh, this is so good. Man, this is so good. It's so good in a lot of different ways, and I'll tell you why. The main thing is the fact that, one, Grok 4 literally took my big old prompt in max mode. It searched, it actually had these internal thinking thoughts, and we can see all of the files that it searched for. And this is inside of Cursor, by the way. And then it thought for another 10 seconds after reviewing all of this code, and then searched again. It had another thought about all of the files. It's where's login and authentication handled? And so this multi-step process, you can see how powerful it is when it does this type of thing inside of Cursor, and then it sent that across. And A good thing would be to see how this would look like against Claude Code. I use Claude Code a lot, and sometimes I have to do a Claude Code a couple steps. I have to say, this and then this and then this. And so this is super impressive. Cursor is constantly updating their app all of the time, so that way that they can be the most optimized with the latest models. And this latest update from Cursor is really interesting, and it's getting me to be kind of curious about, how this stuff is going. So this is obviously not sponsored or anything like that from Cursor or any one of these companies. I'm literally just taking a look at this as an engineer because I just want to make sure I get the best output as possible. That's kind of my thing. This is a very simple request, and without giving it any context, it's able to search through and ask itself this type of questions, which could be very helpful if you're not that experienced in coding, for having a model like this kind of guide it. All right, so yeah, it has light mode, has dark mode. It works in mobile mode. It works in, if I do like iPhone, like an iPad as well, we'll have it here. And if I do iPhone Pros, like Pro size, it will show up in this little drawer. And then if I click login, it logged itself in. Oh, that's so hot. Okay, so what I want to do now is basically, this change looks really good. I think if I were to take a look at anything from this type of thing, I don't like that site config is imported as the alias site, because that creates, an extra alias for me to think about. I think that's probably my only nitpick, because it literally had to change it this way. This is the same thing, by the way. Site config as site. It's just written differently. So this would just be, instead of this. I think, let me fix that now. That's gonna really bother me. So I'm just gonna like delete that and then go back down here and then hit tab and then go down here and hit tab. And I think URL, right? So if I go to URL, oh, you know why? Okay, I see why I did it this way. Dang it. Let me go site config. There are two site config files, right? App.config. Man, this is probably why I should have just vibe coded it. Let me go back. Let me go ahead. I think I could just do reapply and it'll just reapply itself. Perfect. Reapply. Let's see. Reapply. I'm going to just discard the changes here. Discard changes. Yes. And then I could just do reapply. Reapply. Okay. There we go. Yeah, so this takes me to the right actual configuration up here. I didn't realize this. I have two site config files. Maybe I should refactor this because this is actually really not a good idea. And so I reference them in different places. And so this one's actually explicitly saying where I should be pulling this in, because one's like a different directory, which is kind of why, I actually like, never mind. It's been a while since I've looked at this code and I just have been mostly vibing it. Let me just double check again that everything kind of works before I just kind of publish this here. So here I am thinking I'm smarter than the code and I should just like vibe. That's all I have to do. Okay, cool. We're just going to go ahead and do that. All right. This change looks good. And then what I like to do is just generate a commit message using this little star thing right up above. And we can kind of see it is a little extra low key, but I don't know. I like the verbosity. There's probably a way to do that. So when I sync the changes, this is going to push this up to the branch and I could say open on GitHub. And so I can actually review this entire code change on GitHub. And so this actually tells us, this is the change. Everything looks good. And so one of the advantages is like, hey, I can actually compare and do a pull request. So if I go to this branch, this says like, this is currently like one commit ahead and this is doing its thing there. On Vercel itself, I actually have my deployment here. And so what's nice about Vercel is that every single, Git commit you do in this like feature branch, it's not going to put it into production. So Ray transcribes the app is not going to have this change until I fully say this is good to go. And then I merge that back into my main branch. And so a little bit about branching here, I can kind of show you maybe on Git. Let's see. It's just kind of like kind of Git flow, Git branching theory. And so I like to use another app as well for visualizing my branches and everything. This is called Tower. It's a paid app, but you don't have to necessarily use it. And so this is basically how it looks like. You have the main branch here, and then I made a feature / sign-on branch. And so with this one, this is basically just a branch from the main, and any of the changes we're pushing in here is not going to affect us. Everything that's currently in production is currently here in the main branch. So when I'm ready to go and I approve everything, we will set up a thing called a pull request. And what that will do is it'll get the latest stuff we have in here and then try to say, are you sure you're good to go? And one of the advantages of doing a pull request into our production area is the fact that Cursor has a thing called BugBot. That'll cost me like 20 to 30 cents to run just to make sure that nothing is really going to break. Once everything looks good and passes there, I'll hit commit or merge, and then it'll merge that stuff back in, and then you'll actually see it update in production. And so with Vercel, it's really nice because I didn't really have to add any configurations. It already does this automatically. As soon as you just link up your GitHub repo, we can already see that it's built it. And then I can click one of these URLs, and these URLs will actually take me to the live deployment where this is at and actually see it live. So this is pretty cool. So it's like, cool. I can see it live. It's actually working. It points me to the right direction. It works. I can go back into like the mobile mode, I think, and that's Control Command R. And then I could even see it in here. And then it just has the button there. I mean, ShadCN styling system is like undefeated. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's that there. And so since this looks pretty good and we've already verified everything, let me just go back. So this looks pretty good. If you go back to the main branch here, you just hit compare and pull request. Everything looks like it's all filled in there, which is awesome. And then I actually could just review the changes. It looks like we just added a button here and that's all we did. Perfect. Create the pull request, and then we should see Cursor coming in with its additional checks. So I think if we hit this little drop down area, you'll see some checks haven't completed yet. Cursor BugBot is currently running. It just runs automatically for me. I have it enabled inside of, if you just go to cursor.com, and then I think in cursor.com, you'll actually have an agent and have a dashboard. And so this is where you can actually link up, I think, is it in the dashboard? In one of the settings in here, is where you can kind of get that all linked up. So that way that the BugBot will either run all the time. By the way, when it does run, it does cost you money. And if you don't want it to run all the time and you just only want it to be available when you at Cursor, then there is a setting that they just say, don't run until I mention you in the app. So I like to have it running because it can catch regressions and things that I may not think of, or I might put in something that I forget about, and it could break something, right? So I think it's really important to, for me, I'm a single person engineer, so I pay 10 cents, 20 cents, 40 cents, whatever, however big the change is, I feel like that's going to be worth it for me. So while that's doing its verification step there, let me just go ahead and catch up a little bit with the comments before we kind of merge everything back into main. So you may use any CSS framework as long as it's React with Tailwind. Okay, I watched your other videos. Other YouTubers are not impressed. Claude is still better. Okay, yeah, I'm going to be testing it in the way that I do software. AI vibe coding development. I've been making a lot of these apps using AI and Cursor, so it'd be really interesting to see what the difference is. Yeah. So, yeah, cool. Hey man, when are you going to test Kimi 2 again? Okay, 2 again. I'm going to take a look at this probably in the next day or two. I want to see if I can get some of this like new open model weights like available on my machine. It's like, I think it's like half a terabyte. And then the other part of it is there's probably going to be some hosting providers like Cerebras or Grok that may have a quantized version available on the web. Also Fireworks and a bunch of other providers may have them available. So I want to reach out to those people and see like, when's that going to happen? So that I could just hit an API and it'll be a lot faster as far as like inference and stuff. So yeah, that'll be what's up. I'm a junior web developer. MERN stack. Is Claude Sonnet the best for me? I would just say, yeah, Claude Sonnet is really, really good. If you want to start with that, just start with that $20 a month plan in Claude Code. Until you reach a threshold, just start paying for the next level. You know, if you do the $100 a month and you reach that threshold already and it's like you can't go any further, I doubt it. You can get very far with $20 a month. You can get very far with $100 a month. Unless you need that extra stuff, I think that's a really, really good start for you. Yeah, so that's what's up. All right, cool. All checks have passed. This is awesome. Let's go ahead and just merge this pull request. And you'll see kind of how this works in action here. So now this is merging. Vercel's like, hey, we have a preview link. This is the preview link that we looked at earlier. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete the branch now. And so the branch has been deleted. We're going back to the code and it should already be my main branch. And so on Vercel itself, if we go to my deployments tab, if I click up here, we'll see now a production branch is being deployed because now we've merged this back to production. So this is really, really cool. I don't know what's going on here. Let me just refresh. Cool. If I click this, yeah. So now it's building. It takes, my app builds really fast because it's just literally just the front end UI. There's not a lot of extra sauce going on in the background and it's already deployed. So now if we go to raytranscribes.com, we should actually see this live. And so my friend Dan was actually the one that requested this. He's like, hey, I'm trying to find a way to log into your app. Can you just have something really simple to do this? And here we are. And now it's actually live. And so if you want to test out Ray Transcribes, for those who are wondering, this is actually, this whole live stream is powered by this. I made this app so that I can transcribe stuff as fast as possible. I made an open source version. And so folks were wanting to have one that's available that runs on basically not a Mac, right? And on my Mac, my several hour live streams could take 30 minutes to do the transcriptions using the biggest Whisper v3 models. And so I wanted this available and something on the web and extremely fast. So when I hit the generate transcripts, like with this, I just want like one simple UI, drag and drop, forget about it, you know, and do this type of thing. And so I basically made this app so that other folks can be able to do this as well. So not only do you get the actual text transcripts that you can copy and send over to a language model for your own content and generate blog posts and stuff, you can also download the actual accurate, you know, timestamps as well. And what I've also done is done additional optimizations for character length. So if you are actually wanting to publish this for a TV show or any type of thing where they have to have like 42 characters or those types of things, I've actually done additional logic to kind of break that down so that the word length is enough for the screen and to be readable. And so there's not like a big paragraph of lines. Because if you ever have just run this through any of the open source transcribers, sometimes you'll have like a whole paragraph of text as a transcript and it kind of fills up the screen. It's just not really readable. So I've done a lot of additional work on this app. And if you want to try it, I have a code called RayVIP 20, and it's only for the first 20 members of people who join, and you'll get $20 off. So if you just type in RayVIP 20 at checkout at raytranscribes.com, you'll be able to kind of check that out and try out the app. And you know, you can either get, you know, with $20 off, you can get, you know, I think 1 month free on any one of those plans. So yeah, pretty cool. All right. Enough of that. Let's see if we can kind of take a look here. All right, cool. So this did its thing. We've merged this to main. We are live, which is awesome. Cool. So that's the first bug down. That's awesome. And yeah, it's doing its thing there. So we have that. So as of now, we've been able to get the model loaded up in Cursor. We've taken care of this task. And what I need to do is now go back to my main branch. So in here, I should be able to go just click it. Does it click? Let's see. It's still not really always clear to me what branch I'm on inside of Cursor. So I think I want to select this one here. I usually use a different workflow, but this is really interesting. So this tells me I'm currently on the, oh, I see. Select one or more references. Okay. But how do I change branches? Let's see. Branch. Publish branch. I'm not familiar with VS Code either, so this is totally new to me. I usually could check out too. Okay. Check out detached to main. Okay, this is a week ago. Branches, remote branches. Okay. So fetch from all remotes, sure. And then I want to maybe get onto the original branch. Can I check out this branch? Check out origin main. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna move my head so that y'all can see this real quick and see what's going on. So on this left side, there's this little graph. And so this little graph shows all of the changes that are going, and the orange one is the main branch, and this feature branch is the one that we made to add this feature in. And so I wanna go back to the main branch, because once you have software and it's already gone to the side and we've shipped the feature and we've merged it back, we need to kind of go back in and kind of continue on coding from then on forward. So in order to do that, we should just right click it and hit check out origin main. So that will basically say, hey, now we've hopped back into our branch, and then now we just need to pull down the latest changes. And over here, cursor is now telling us saying we need to sync this down by pulling it. So let's go ahead and sync the changes down. And so basically that just means that all of our code on our local machine is now caught up to what everything is at as far as the main branch. If we take a look at this type of thing up here in Git Tower, which is what I like to use, we see that we've already hopped in from here and then popped into the main branch. And on this app, all I have to do is just double click one of these branches, and that'll just pop me into that branch, and you'll see the differences in code. So that's really cool. One of the things that I like to do is prune my other feature branches and things. And what's not really clear to me is how do I delete the branch? So I can say, it looks like I just right click something and say delete branch. It doesn't know. I have to go to the specific branch here, and I hit delete branch and I say delete feature sign in. So that way, I don't necessarily need it. So if I do that, it should delete itself from it. Okay. And if I go into here, yeah, I should see it, it's gone. And so now we're just back on the main branch, and then I can create a new branch to do a new feature here. And part of the reason why I'm doing all this, trickery and stuff is probably because I'm just so used to doing this type of stuff where I used to work as an engineer. But the second part of it is creating the feature branches for me prevents me from accidentally pushing stuff into production and preventing people from signing up for my app. So that's kind of the whole point of this is okay, in this workflow, I create a new branch, I work on something, and then once it's kind of done, I merge it back in and then make sure I kind of clean up the rest of the stuff before I get back going to the next thing. So yeah, okay. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. But I think a lot of people actually find these live streams useful. And if you're new to coding, I think it could be very useful if you're watching someone who kind of workflow like this, but also trying to explain it at the same time. And so, yeah, I appreciate everyone who's been kind of bearing with me here. Are there any other features and stuff that we want to fix, or should I just go straight to the back end and start fixing stuff? I think I'm going to go right into my app and start adding more features, because I had some other features in mind that I wanted to do that didn't necessarily deal with this, because I think we're okay here with this type of stuff. Yes. Okay. So on my app, Ray transcribes, one of my users wanted the ability to have what they call a word list. So they have words that they want to add in to the request, which would allow the transcript to be much more accurate. So if you have a certain name that you drop all the time and it's always getting it wrong, you can pass that into Whisper and it will try to find a word that's very similar to it and then replace it with that. So they kind of call it a word dictionary. And so I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is just ask Grok 4 to kind of do some research on that, and then see if we can kind of understand what that looks like. So I want you to do some research for me, because the next, actually, this is not the app that I'm using. So this is the front end app. I'm going to go ahead and kind of minimize this for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and see if I could pull up the other app, which is going to be the back end side of things. So in here, I kind of have a plan, and I also have a branch as well. Do I have a branch? What am I on right now? I think I'm on the main branch. And if I do git tower dot, should be able to pull up everything. Then I'm going to make sure I'm sized correctly so that we're in the windows. So in here, okay, cool. I'm also going to create a new feature branch. Check out. And so I'm going to make my head a little bit smaller so you can see this. So we're going to go ahead and create branch, and we're going to call it feature word list. Okay. Publish the branch. Cool. So now we have a branch published here. And all right, cool. And in here, I'm just going to get rid of this. I have a new chat window. We have Grok 4 Max enabled. Okay. And then I'm just going to give it those instructions that we're talking about so it can do some research for us and pull some things in that we need. So in here, okay. I want you to do some research because I want to be able to add a word list into my request for transcriptions. Users will want to add their own custom words, and I want to be able to group them together and send them off in the various transcripts that they have. And so I think in my code base, I have a transcribe route. Yeah. So the front end part is in transcription form, I think. And the route to get the transcripts is in transcribe, I think. Where is it? I think I have a route API transcribe. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. So I just literally just dragged the file over, and I have basically one of my routes here is basically dealing with that. Let me kind of get rid of my other one. So in this guy, I basically have this route. I told it it's in here. And then you'll need to look up on the web. And I think one of my providers is Grok. So let me see if I can see Grok AI API docs, I think. Whisper, I think. Cases. Let's see, speech to text. So I think I'll give it this. The web for this. And I think, yeah. So what I wanted to do is basically just go ahead and do some research. Once you do this research and kind of come up with a plan, I want you to review it with me before we proceed in writing any code. Before we proceed with writing any code. Okay. So I'm telling Grok to basically help me do some research. I want you to do some, I'm going to put at web. Do I need to do at web anymore? Oh, yeah. So at web is a keyword that will tell Cursor to go look at the web for this type of stuff. And that I want to add a word list. And it should be able to also look at this here and look at the spec for it. And then try to see if it could pull it into our app. And so I'm dealing with a couple different parts here. I'm dealing with, there's actually components that I'm using in my app. So I would want to kind of think about what that would look like from the front end part. And then also from the back end part of like, how do we get those word lists and then feed that back into the thing? So maybe I should also tell it about that as well. Kind of like, I call it like success criteria. So I want you to also think deeply about my code base, because I have existing UI components that will need to accommodate this word list. And so I don't need you to create a whole bunch of new UIs. I just want you to use the existing frameworks, because I'm using ShadCN UI with Tailwind CSS. And then as far as, yeah, I think that's about it. I think, okay. Basically, I'm just trying to tell it to like not repeat itself and not get super happy about, you know, like saying, hey, I did something new for you. I know Claude Sonnet does that, so I'm just curious to see how Grok's going to treat that for us. And so we'll just let it do its thing here. Let me catch back up in the comments. I'm very, very behind, so I'm going to make sure I get to everyone here. In fact, I'm just going to just scroll real quick and get to my members' comments as far as back, and then kind of catch up with those folks while this is doing its research. So Machine Learning Brilliant says, playing with K2 after watching Wes Roth build that 3D map of Earth, pretty good in-depth research as well. Oh, that's a really good heads up on that. Because Claude Code and Claude Desktop has different system prompts and context handling. Yes, they do definitely behave different. I have an ethical questions. If I screenshot a component design from a paid site like Magic UI and ask V0 level will create an exact design, is it stealing having not done that yet? No, it's actually not, because like there's a couple of things. There's like drawing inspiration, like anything that you have on the web that's rendered in your browser is already there. The code is actually already on your machine. It's already running. People reproduce other people's code all the time. As far as like what your own ethics are for how you want to do and give and support other people, like I am a person who likes to support other creators. A lot of people who are making this type of content or who make these types of apps aren't corporations. They're single people, like, or designers, and their full-time job is literally like these types of frameworks or like Magic UI. So Magic UI is a guy named Dylan, and he's a really cool guy. He's an independent developer, and this is his way of making money. So like if you like it and you actually use it and you're actually getting monetary value from it, I would also like, even if you aren't getting monetary value, but if you just do resonate with it and you want to reproduce it, you know, even if you just give a one-time fee or something like that, because a lot of the stuff is sometimes just one-time fees, to support that other person is super important for me to do that, because I feel like, hey, I got some value out of it. I liked what they do, and I want to support these people and have them keep generating new stuff for me. So that type of relationship for me is very important to maintain, and it's kind of what that I do. Hit the like button, beautiful people. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm just going through my members' replies right now because I know a lot of people are replying, and I haven't really caught up to the comments. So just trying to catch up to those comments real quick. So I appreciate everyone who's become a member so far and has been interacting. I will get back to the chat a little bit. I'm just trying to get going on some of my features right now. And so that we can kind of get cooking. And then a little bit later, I'll kind of get some of those comments going. So yeah, please feel free to reply. I also appreciate anyone who's become a member so far as well. So definitely appreciate that. This helps all the algo stuff, and everyone's kind of cooking with me right now. So one thing I'm super impressed with Cursor and Grok 4 right now is this relationship of thinking through my code and actually doing web research right now. Wow, this is great. And then it gives me like a little research summary. Let's see if I can expand this a little bit more so I can read this. This is really impressive. So based on the web research, it supports transcription via this endpoint, supported via prompts, no direct custom vocabulary. Oh, interesting. Or wordless endpoint like some other services. Oh, man, that's interesting. So list custom words, comma separated in sentence, key convex. Use it and continue. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Okay. So relevance for your code base. So I already handle the API call, and there's no evidence of rate limits. If users need grouping, saved word lists for reuse across this could be on my backend. Okay. It knows that I have a convex backend. This is pretty cool. So store a per user word list in a new table, but per your instructions. I'll keep the UI minimal and avoid over engineering. Pretty cool. So the implementation that they're proposing is to leverage the two, and the minimal integrated approach would be adding a custom word list with as little UI as possible. No new pages or complex modals, just extend the existing form. We'll use a per transcription word list for simplicity. Users input them each time, but I'll note on an optional extension for persistence if you want. I think to me, having people type in the word every time is extremely painful. So I'm going to say that. Let's modify the proposed implementation plan, because having users enter the words every time is extremely painful. The whole goal of this app is to make it as seamless as possible. So it would just be nice to have a word list that's there and it keeps showing up and modified per transcription to start with. I like that it's tied per user because each user will have its own preferences. Okay, and then let me just kind of review this here. Add a new section in step 2 after the model selection before generate transcript button. This keeps it in the natural flow without disrupting the existing progress or site layout. This is pretty cool. I like this. Use ShadCN text area for the input. Add the label for instructions. Add style when classes, and to match the model selection, and then limit height and rows. So the state logic, I have some state logic as well. Damn, this is really impressive. It actually looked through a lot of my hooks and things, and it knows that I actually have this specific hook in here just from reading this code base. Wow, this is really, really cool. So where are my hooks? I have a hook. transcription mode. Yeah, so this is one of my hooks for use transcription in here. And in these hooks, I have a lot of criteria, like use effect type of stuff. It's pretty messy, but this was like one of my refactorings that I did a while back to try to like tame my code base, because it used to just be one massive file. And this is kind of dealing with the state variables. This can get cleaned up a lot more, but a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is basically handled on the client side. And it's almost like an app within itself on the web browser. And I'm having to kind of keep track of these things because I'm not doing this on the server. I'm doing a lot of stuff in the browser. So I like that it's kind of understood that that is a thing. I didn't really have to tell it too much, but I was able to infer that from the one file I did reference. So it's talking about these different states. I'm not telling it to refactor. I'm literally just trying to tell it to add a really quick and dirty feature. Later I might refactor. But the biggest thing is just getting that user feedback. So one of my users gave me this feedback saying, I want a word list. So I'm trying to get this feature up as fast as possible. So I'd rather prioritize adding this feature in versus trying to remodify the whole code base to make it clean, because it could be possible that feature is actually not useful. And so we'll see. So here's some of the backend changes it's going to do. Okay. Optional extension for grouping persistence, minimal UI. If you want users to group and reuse word lists across transcripts per your query, you can add a simple convex integration. I kind of like this. I like this idea that you're talking about the optional extension for grouping and persistence. We should just probably move forward with that. I like this a lot. Skip this for initial implementation unless you confirm it's not the whole bunch of UIs, but you want your feedback. Okay. Testing and edge cases. Cool. All right, let's go. And let me just give it this feedback. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, there's this app called Super Whisper, Terry, that I definitely want to check out. And I actually want to see if I can get the founder on my stream, because that'd be really cool. Super Whisper. So this is really, really cool. And I want to check this out because right now I'm using an app called WhisperFlow, and that's kind of what I'm doing. But like this, I think his name is Neil, right? Neil is the one who made this app called Super Whisper. It runs locally on the Mac. And he updated it with the new parakeet model. And he worked with this company called Argomax, who've integrated this model into using Apple's MLX framework for like on-device stuff. And they've also done one for using the other framework. Apple has like an AI framework. I'm totally blanking out right now. And so it is super duper fast now using, I think it's a new parakeet model from NVIDIA that they've published. So yeah, you can do custom vocabulary, 100 languages, and all this other stuff, which is super interesting. And so this is kind of his demo. I want to show you a demo using one of its most common. So I think he does one here basically like with modals and stuff. And so you're able to do it. It's all part of the system. He does this little recording. It does its thing. And then you can kind of see it doing its stuff here. And then there's no audio right now, by the way, that's piped in. I could pipe in the audio, but I don't know sometimes if there's some music that's playing. So he's charging $8.49 per month. And is that the student discount? Okay. Yeah, get pro. But yeah, he has the model currently integrated and stuff. And I think, what's it? WhisperFlow AI. This one also has, it's available for Mac and Windows. I think Super Whisper is Mac only, right? Yeah, I think Super Whisper is Mac only. WhisperFlow is Mac, Windows, and iPhone compatible. So I have this on my iPhone, and I love this thing so much. I do have a coupon code for this one. This is the one I like a lot. As far as accuracy, I haven't tried Super Whisper, but I definitely have to try this. So yeah, they have free and basic, and then that's a 20% discount. One of the things that I find interesting that people have given me feedback for WhisperFlow, which is kind of why I recommend it a lot, is that I have a lot of people who speak different languages and different dialects of like Chinese and also Indian. So like in those two like major hubs, it's actually able to understand their voices to like that level of detail, which I find really interesting. And most of these language models like that do these conversions are very like specifically English only or really good at English, and every other language kind of falls off the cliff. So definitely worth checking into. And I'm really glad that people are bringing this up, and then we can kind of talk a little bit about this. Like, this is kind of my favorite parts of the community. Alberto, another member here, says WhisperFlow is goated. Yeah, I've been using it so good. Like, I love WhisperFlow so much. So I have WhisperFlow. It's good. Yeah, I tried Super Whisper. I much prefer Mac Whisper by Jordi Bruni. Oh yes, Jordi is really cool too. Simple, free, local, and fast. Yes. So I think it's a one-time fee, right, for Jordi's Mac Whisper, and it's a Gumroad thing. Yeah, that's right. So it's like a one-time fee. You pay. Actually, it's free. Oh. So you can use a native Mac OS app for free, and then you probably just download one of the language models, right, to use it. And then he does have like a pro license if you want to pay 60 euros, I think. That's amazing. That's cool. Yeah, and it's an app, you keep it, it's yourself, but there isn't a version for iOS. So the version for iOS with WhisperFlow for me, that's killer, because I get back to all my comments just by dictating. It's too good. It's too good. But yeah, I'd say try these all out. There's a lot going on and everything. So yeah, Ray, I built a CLI tool, open source, that lets you use Grok Gemini models to do the same. Yeah, if you want to check out my open source one, go to github.com/RayFernando1337. And it's called the MLX Audio Video Transcriber. It's a mouthful. This is my free version that will basically allow you to do exactly kind of what I made Ray Transcribes to do. This is actually where the idea all started. I posted this video. It went super viral on X and posted more updates and things. And I needed this as a content creator. I wanted to have accurate timestamps. So in here, I wrote this in Python, and you'll actually get all the optimizations I was talking about earlier for timestamp lengths and everything. It's basically just one giant as file with a bunch of functions and things. Super simple Streamlit app. You can install it and run it on your own. If you're not familiar with installing Python, I actually wrote an ultimate guide here available. So if you're really wanting to go into the weeds of this thing and like really kind of put that, sword and everything on, you'll have to start to really dive in here. But in this article, I actually describe, if you're using the M1 Mac, what specific version to download with all those types of things. And so I list detailed steps of what you do in the terminal and kind of what you'll do to get that installed. Once you get Conda running, you'll be able to come back to this repo and then kind of get the rest of it configured for getting the environment set up. So with Python, you have to build some of these packages yourself. You have to get these environments running. And once you kind of get them isolated, you're then able to run the scripts and everything should work fine. It's not like an app like you buy in the App Store where everything is compiled and all into one container. So you just click one thing. It's the joy and magic of the App Store. It's probably why these developers give up 30% of their income to Apple, because of that whole infrastructure that needs to take place. It's part of the reason why I started to move to web app development, because I don't have to give that to some other company. And then other companies host my own infrastructure that scales at my own pace and what I want to do. So yeah, with that said, we got a whole bunch of stuff that we've covered here. And I want to check back in on my plan here before we kind of move forward. So that's what's up. What's the pricing for Grok 4? So I don't know what the API pricing is right now. On Cursor's model page, I don't see it here. I just see Grok 3 Mini. Let's see. Do they talk about pricing? I don't think they talk about the API pricing. API usage pricing? They don't talk about it, because they would usually have it here somewhere. But they say it's just the cost of whatever the model is. Grok 4 API cost. So on XAI's website, here, what they're saying is that they'll charge you, they have a 256K context window, and the rate limits are 30K tokens per minute and 120. And it's $3 for the input and $15 for the output. Damn. So yeah, I think that's what you're going to be paying to use it inside of Cursor. And yeah, that's pretty much, I don't think you're going to hit the rate limit issues if you're using it inside of Cursor, by the way, because Cursor has their own deal with them. So is what it is. But we have function calling, we have structured output, we have reasoning. You know, all of the reasoning and all this stuff is really kind of what scored the highest as far as all those remarks. And we don't yet have the Grok 4 coding model, and that coding model is supposed to be like even another step above. And so by using it inside of Cursor, we're leveraging Cursor's own capabilities of searching through your repo, trying to get that context. And then we're also leveraging Cursor's ability to integrate the tool calling with Grok 4. And the Grok 4 tool calling is supposed to be really good. I'm pretty impressed so far from what I'm seeing. I'm not giving it crazy coding tasks, but this one's about to be really interesting that we're going to get into because it involves touching a lot of files and it involves a lot of part of my code base. In fact, it just started cooking already on my code base. Holy smokes. But we'll see. Okay. Let's take a look and let's actually see if it actually works, right? All right, cool. So let's see. Here's what it did. It went to my schema. It made a new table and says user word list for custom transcription vocabulary. And it's grouped together. Let me move myself down a little bit so y'all can read this. So it grouped this together here. Name words created that, updated at. So it's just creating a little word list thing. And then it created a new file to track this. So I could not find modules. Oh, I forgot to give it the, be sure to follow at convex rules. I have a convex rules file and I forgot to, can you do a quick review to make sure you follow and then rules and then convex rules. I have a convex rules file and convex has a whole rules file for how to integrate into the database so it doesn't make these extra mistakes and stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it that real quick. And so going back, I'm just kind of looking through the code here. Okay. So word lists. So it's created a new file. I'm just kind of seeing kind of what it's thinking here. I'm going to remove this here at the side. I'm going to move this a little bit. Okay. So we see a couple functions: get word lists by ID, save the word lists, and then delete word lists. Okay. So each of these are different queries. One is to talk to the database. One's a mutation, which is going to say, hey, go ahead and update something. And then delete word lists. Yeah. So this is going to update or delete something here. So this is kind of how it's spread out its thinking as far as how it's approaching this problem. And then each of these are going to do different things in the convex database. So this is going to look for the word list, look for my users, and sort them by descending. And it's going to actually paginate the inputs and stuff. So that's really interesting there. Okay, so we have my actual API route. So this is actually before in its in my API route, it's actually going to go down and grab the word list from my convex database and then return this type of thing. And then we can actually see it's doing convex browser. Interesting. I wouldn't be using that, but that's, add a custom prompt if word list is provided. So it's going to try to append this as a prompt. And then in my body here, it's going to actually put this as part of the prompt for this. Okay. That's interesting. And so use, and it's going to try to come up with its own hook here. So now it grabs the word list states and then tries to update them in the UI towards the bottom. So now it's going to reset the states for these stages. Check. That's a lot of code that it's kind of like erasing and refactoring. It got rid of a lot of code. I don't like this plan. I just kind of want to run it and see how this looks like. So adding the word lists, creating word lists, updating the backend route, extending this, integrating minimal UI after selection, and ensures that it's tied to a Clerk user ID. This is great. However, during the final edit of the hook file, some linter errors appeared. Okay. Okay. And then I just told it to do another review here. So after a quick review, trace through, but I spotted a few minor gaps. I'll summarize this. So now it's kind of like telling it to reason on itself here. And so it's fully compliant. All the functions are here. Schema guidelines, fully compliant. Okay. So these are all the rules inside of that cursor rules file that it's actually looking through, and it's kind of doing its own self-review, which is pretty cool. If this looks good, say proceed, I'll make the fixes via tool calls or let me know the tweaks. This is pretty cool. So this is the fixes. It's going to fix the missing return validators. It's going to fix this word list and add them, for example. Public versus internal, borderline. These functions are user specific and not public internet exposed. So be stricter to change the internal queries and import from internal. This is really good. If you agree, use the internal variants, no major impact since it's front end calls to convex client. Okay, cool. I'm going to say proceed. Let's go. Let's go. This model for coding is interesting. As far as cost and stuff, yeah, like let's compare that to Claude Sonnet, right? So what's the Claude Sonnet API cost, right? Because you get so many of these. There used to be like a pricing. Oh my God. Okay, I'm just gonna go chat GPT and ask, what's the Claude for Sonnet and Claude for Opus API cost? I love this. Yeah. Okay, it's thinking it's doing its thing. I do the same. Ray's soothing voice strikes the vibe for coding and chill. Thanks, guys. Oh, so it's the same. So Grok and Sonnet. Okay. And then Opus is 1575. Jesus, 75. Okay, man. I see why. I see why. Does anyone else feel the difference between 4 Opus and 4 Sonnet in Claude Code? I'm starting to notice even more in the last days. I noticed a difference in planning. So these planning questions that I ask to do code reviews, I do notice that 4 Opus tends to give me better plan results. But check this out, dude. The things that we've been doing right now with Grok 4 inside of Cursor for this planning and searching through and then even searching the web and coming back, I've been super impressed so far, man. Like for that cost, I don't think I need Opus, to be honest. That's a really interesting insight here, right? This is really, really interesting. I'm so glad I'm doing this test. I don't think a lot of people test this way, but this is my workflow. I mean, like, I'm not testing. I'm actually just using this live and we're just watching. Y'all are watching me fumble live, which I actually really appreciate. This is a nice coding and chill session. So this is really fun. Yeah. There's a difference in Grok 4 pricing as well. 630 over 1. Oh. Okay. Over 100K context. That's not really clear here, right? Hold up. Oh, show higher context pricing. So we charge different rates if they're over 128K tokens. Oh, so it's just double the price. So if you're over 128K tokens, now you double the price to 6 and 30. Dang, that's interesting. But that's still cheaper than Opus, right? Because Opus is still pretty expensive. Yeah, you're talking about $15 and $75 for Opus, where this type of thing, if you get over 128K tokens, you're still 6 and 30, right? So, that's interesting. No, thanks for bringing that up. I think that's super helpful, by the way. Yeah. I like Gemini 2.5 Pro preview a lot. Bro, I'm not that impressed with the model, to be honest. I've been using it a lot. I was like, I keep going back. I can't see. Yeah. I use Open Router to see the prices. Oh, I see. So yeah, this is correct. Yeah, I'm just on their regular website. ChatGPT is actually really good at pulling up its own prices and pulling up its competitor prices. So I like that it does this. Back of napkin examples are really super helpful too. So yeah, so Sonnet, batch in and out. I think this is actually wrong. This is probably from an older pricing. Okay, here. I was able to at least get the pricing table pulled up. Okay, they make it even more confusing with the caching, but yeah, 1 hour cache writes. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, dang. This is super duper helpful info. So I said proceed. It went to go fix more things and then cannot find the module. Check user exists. Can you do a review of at word lists? Why are we doing? Is this to check if a user is in my database I'm using? You'll need to do a review of my code flow. I'm just gonna let it do its thing. I'm just kind of curious, like, where is it using check user exists? So all it's doing is to see if a user should be authenticated, but I have Clerk for authentication. Maybe I should have just said that. Maybe I'll be more specific. I'm using Clerk for authentication. So if we're doing any authentication checks, there is a component in server and code that deals with that. You may want to check some of the other files that show this type of thing. Keep in mind, we should keep everything dry. And then do not repeat yourself, basically, is the acronym. So I hit escape or stopped, and then I went back, and then I basically told it more explicitly what I wanted to do here. So the goal for this is to basically prevent what Eric Provencher calls context rot. So context rot, for those who aren't familiar, is if you have the wrong word or something in your chat, what ends up happening is that the language model can anchor to that. And going forward, you start to have much more problems in your requests. So that's where you say, no, I just want you to move 2 pixels to the left. No, like not to the left, to the other left, and like stuff like that, you'll start to get so confused. And so that is when you've already realized you have context rot. And what that means is like, we want to get rid of that. We want to trim that fat and get it away. So if you start to notice your conversations start to steer away from you, you may want to ask yourself a couple of things. One, is my conversation too long? Do I need to start a new chat? Number 2, if it's not long, but it's kind of going in the wrong direction right away, can I go back to a previous chat where it went wrong and just re-edit that and be maybe more explicit? So what that does is that you basically prevent the model from going down that one path where it can just go completely wrong. And there's another couple of different things that you may want to do. Cursor allows you to actually copy the chat and try something different. So if you go right here, you can say duplicate the chat. So this entire chat can go down a whole different branch and you can try other experiments. So this could be very helpful here. For example, like let's just say I wanted to go back in this chat to earlier. Now that I've seen all this code generate, this is basically one giant prototype for this feature that I want to add, which is called the word list. And if I don't really like this entire implementation, I can go back and then start giving it more explicit directions given everything I know, because a lot of times I don't really know what I'm doing. Like I'm not a web developer. I'm not a TypeScript developer. I'm not an Next.js developer, right? I don't have a lot of experience there, but I've just learned what I should be doing based off of what this language model is kind of taking me down this path to do. And so I can take the good pieces of what all of that code is generated, duplicate the chat from earlier on, and then give it instructions from there as far as what explicit keywords and terms that I want to use. And then the response will be even much more like deliberate and actually much more precise for delivering what you want. So that is an interesting technique I haven't heard anyone talk about, but I want to share with you as far as what you can actually start to think about. It's like you can go down one path, and if you don't like it, just kind of restart again at that specific point in time by duplicating the chat and then starting the conversation from then on forward. And it should be pretty good. Someone, his name is Ian Nuttall, has mentioned something like that with using Claude Code. He has Claude Code and he has the max plan, so he doesn't care. He can generate as much tokens as he wants. It's not going to really cost him extra. And then he could just throw away the plans and start new again. This is kind of like a similar concept, but it's like saying I'm very explicit in my chain of thinking here, and I want to start from this base and then go forward from there. So FYI, if you're thinking about developing features, that can be a really useful technique to help you with getting the output that you want. So let's see here. So this is a pretty extensive review. So here's a deep review of everything. This is so good. Focus on check if user exists in the flow. Absolutely. Let's dive. Reverse. Yes. Okay. Okay. This looks pretty good. Deep flow code analysis, how auth works. So it actually took a look at my auth flow and is even kind of keeping that in the context. This is so good. Dang, this is really good. And it even kept in mind the compliance with the convex rules file earlier in the chat. Wow, I can't tell you how exhausting it is to like reprompt this in Claude Code, and I didn't have to do that here. That's super impressive. Wow. Let's see how many. So I've only used 82,000 tokens, by the way, for this entire chat. That is super awesome and super efficient here. So if this review helps, let me know how to proceed, fix linters, or refactor for dry. Please fix the linters and refactor for dry. Let's go. Let's go. First time here. Is Grok 4 a better pick for Cursor? Grok 4 is an interesting pick. I would definitely try it out to see if your use case works well. This Grok 4 thing is something I'm seriously considering kind of replacing over Opus in terms of planning and looking through my code. I have this workflow, as you've seen through this live stream, where I'm asking questions about my code base and I'm trying to understand what's happening before we kind of glob on and add features. And so I ask these questions because sometimes I forget or I haven't done things before. And Grok 4 with its tool calling and its explanations are phenomenal here. It's really, really impressive. I would use Claude Code and Opus to try to get that detailed information. And dude, it's cooking. I like it. The cost-wise, compared to Opus, if you just Claude 4 Opus 4 compared to Grok 4, it's like a vast difference. You know, I feel like Sonnet and Grok 4 are on that competitive mark, but Grok 4, you know, for this planning phase is really, really cool. Writing code, I probably wouldn't notice a difference here. Once you have the plan set up, I feel like you can use any model after that to kind of write the code. You know, the biggest part is really the intelligence for thinking through your code and not repeating stuff that you don't want. So this is really interesting. People keep asking about Kimi K2. I want to get into that model for sure and check that out. Like that's going to be a banger, and that deserves its own sauce. And I first of all need to like download the weights. It's like 0.5 terabyte. 2, I need to find a really good API provider. And 3, I'm going to bug the Cursor team to see if when they can get that in as fast as possible, because everyone's talking about it. And I feel like that's going to be the next big breakthrough, but we'll put it to the test, right? This is not like a hype show. I'm not paid by anyone. I'm not paid by any of these type of people. This is actually supported from members like you. So people like Lisa Ross coming up in the building, dropping the membership the other day. I really appreciate the support. Everyone who's here is just a really good energy, and y'all want to build together. So I definitely appreciate that. And I also appreciate you answering questions for other people in the comments, because I'm right now only really answering the members' requests because I have so much of a backlog from all the requests here. So if you try to keep up with what's best, you're going to be switching and relearning models every week. Today, maybe tomorrow, another model, leapfrog. Exactly. Yeah, Lisa, great advice, because it's so easy for us to kind of flip back and forth. I have this ADHD brain and I'm super excited about this stuff. So I'm always testing stuff anyways, and it's kind of fun for people to just drop in and kind of see what's happening with all the sauce, if you know what I mean. So I definitely appreciate everyone who's been able to tune in and kind of lock in with me. All right. So there's so much hype surrounding it. Seeing the patriotic messages about LinkedIn. Oh my God. Yeah. This is so crazy. Let's see. Cool. All right. So did it just fix everything, or it just added a utils? Get authenticator. I don't think we need this. Yeah, we don't need that file. I'm just going to restore checkpoint. Restore. Please fix the linters. And come up with a dry way to... Actually, let's see. Please fix the linter errors. Let's just see what it does. I'm not super impressed with this at all, but I like where some of this code is going. So low key, I might just revert everything and start the plan again, but start the plan from like an earlier part of the chat. And then I might do that trick where I'm literally going to duplicate it and then just start from that specific part. So what's not really clear to me yet is if I duplicate everything and then will I be able to also restore to the checkpoints that have already happened in Cursor? So that's something I want to try out. So like if I duplicate it, can I restore to this checkpoint? You know what I mean? Because that would be super helpful. So right now it's just fixing the linter errors and it's just going through the word lists. Because the feature looks pretty good overall, but yeah, that's what's up. What are you doing? That's a really good question. So for those who don't know, what we've done so far is that we've been testing out Grok 4 integration inside of Cursor. And as of now, we're basically just coding and adding some features. The latest feature that we're adding is this ability to do a word list inside of my app. I have this app called Ray Transcribes, and this will basically allow you to transcribe any video or audio file that you want. So if you have a lot of podcasts, you have whatever, you can just pop it in and it's going to use the latest Whisper model and to do this extremely fast. So I've come up with some techniques to make this really, really fast. And you can see how fast it is at doing that. Sometimes it will be able to get everything, but sometimes it's not able to get certain words or certain things that you say because you may have a specific accent or it could be the model's issue. So one of my users, whose name is AJ, aka Tech Friend, he said, hey, can I just have a word list? I want to have my own custom words that are in there that the model always gets wrong. So that way, when I give it my audio for my actual YouTube videos, it's able to get those specific words consistently right all the time. So these models support a prompt that you can insert in the request body. So when it sends up the audio, it can actually come back and fix those specific words if you repeat them all the time as part of that in there. So I basically have asked Grok to create a plan and review my code. So here's like the older messages going way far back. And so I had to do some web research to take a look at some things. I had to take a look at the API spec I've implemented as well. Had to dig through my code base, and we were super blown away with everything that it did to do this planning. This is something I would hand off to Claude 4 Opus to do a type of review and planning and everything. But inside of Cursor with Grok 4, it was able to go through all these details with the tool calling, with these additional steps, grab the context, and start to execute on the plan. Super duper awesome. It's saved me a lot of steps. And then now we're at a point where we're trying to actually add the code and then fix the linting errors as well. So far it's actually done that. And I think everything's fixed linting wise. Damn, that's good. Actually, that's much better than I was thinking before. Okay, so let me just do, okay, so I added these components in, but I think I need to install them using Bun and stuff. So I think I have to ShadCN Bun. Let's see. ShadCN. I have a rules file, I think. And where is my rules file? So I have a design rules file or it's a project. So in my project rules file, I have a description here that basically will tell it what my design system is and what I'm doing. And so I have to do this command to install these like components. And I forgot to give it this design system to fix some of these linter errors, but I'm just going to do this by hand because it's probably going to be a lot faster anyways. I don't necessarily need to do some of these things, but because I'm inserting some UI and I'm inserting the specific components, I'm just going to go ahead and install these. So the two components that I need to install are Command K. I'm going to add select. And then the other one I need to add is text area. Whoops. And then text area. I don't think I need anything else. Right? Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit this. So this should basically install it into my components for the UI on the left-hand side. Cool. Components UI, select area. Cool. So let me move my head down. So here we are. Now those are installed in my app. And if I go back to this form, this should now have resolved these issues. So this is all part of ShadCN's UI system. It's one of the cool advantages of having this. And then this is the UI created for this. And then in here, I think there are still I'm I'm just going to go ahead and accept here. We accept all always, right? YOLO. Just get into the flow. There are lots of these issues. Let's see, bundev. Whoops. Okay, bundev. What's going on? Oh. I think my app is freaking out. It's okay. Cool. I see bunx convex dev. So I have to deploy my functions onto the dev server. So that way my convex functions are deployed because I made some changes to the convex schema. And then I should be able to do bundev. Yeah. And so all of these ports are running. And then I want to see if I can kill those ports so that I can run my app. So let me go ahead and do that right now in a separate window. So I'm going to go here, say, help me kill these ports. And then I'm going to change from this model just to auto because auto is included for free. So might as well just do that. So I can run my app. Oop, and then paste it. And so it's going to basically take a look and give me a bash command. So can you give me single bash command? So this is something where I was expecting like Claude Sonnet to kind of take care of this for me, but let me just take a look at this. So this is just basically in the shell land. Yeah, I think I should have killed them. Bundev. Perfect. I'm probably having some issue here. Let me go terminal. Let's see. I don't know what's going on. I'm having some issues with my machine. Let's see. CD workspace. Workspace. Okay. And then I just do bundev. Oh, let's see what's going on here. Oh, I'm having a node issue with my machine. That's interesting. Oh. Okay. Peak hill, next peak hill button. Okay. Oh my God, why are you going to remove? Oh, I see. Let me give this over to a smarter model. So I don't know what model is currently running in Cursor for the auto model, but low-key, I think it's trash. Let me just do, let's give it to Grok. Let's Grok with it. Grok 4. Let's go. I'm just going to give it back the same request here and then see if it's doing anything. Yeah. Peak hill node. Maybe. I am also running another version of stuff in this browser here. So I think I've killed them already. Yeah. So that's already killed. But starting terminal. So this is actually going to kill it for me. That's interesting. So whatever the auto model was, it didn't actually run it. So in this, when you select a tool calling model like Grok, it did that for us. That's interesting. So, okay. So now should be able to run next dev. All right, let's see. Bundev. And then this one, I'm just going to kill as well. All right. Bundev. It could just be in like an environment issue, but we'll see. Dang. I think it's cooked, fam. It's so cooked. I might have to quit and reopen Cursor if I'm not able to run this. Okay, so this is having a node right to the pipe. This is fascinating. Mutex with, oh, you know what? I do probably have to remove my node module and then reinstall things and rebuild them. Yeah, there's some type of internal process where it might require a rebuild. So I'm just going to see if the model can figure that out for me. and hopefully run the tool calls to rebuild my entire thing and everything from scratch. So that happens sometimes if you're changing between different branches and you have code that's in there, and there could be a conflict. So all you have to do is basically delete what they call like the generated node modules. It's basically a folder here on the side that gets run every time you like do a npm run build or something, or bun run build. And those modules are, part of all the packages that you install and everything. So let's see what it's doing right now. So it's basically going to do its own research and figure that out, is kind of what I'm thinking. But yeah, so all we have to do, if we do on the side, it's a hidden folder. What's it called? Node underscore modules. And this is app components convex. Okay. So this whole folder would basically just have to be deleted. And then I would just do bun install and just reinstall everything. It's probably what we're going to have to do anyways. So let's see. I'm just having it reason through its thing. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going to be what's it. Because the errors that are happening here in this trace are in the actual node modules folder. And it's like erroring out with writing out to the system here. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And so part of the test here is to see, like, can Grok figure it out? One of the interesting insights that we did earlier was to have the agent run in auto mode. So auto mode is Cursor's like free model that you can use if you're paying $20 a month. It's like included in your plan. And just running that model, you saw that it does not have tool calling. For whatever reason, it didn't use any tool calling when it should have, right? Like it should have just done a tool call to just kill my processes and then kind of figure out what the next step to do. And then the second part of it is like, it never really got to where the answer that we were thinking of. And right now I gave this answer, this like problem to Grok 4, and you could see it's chewing. But to be honest, it's taking a long ass time, and I probably could have just figured this out. But part of this test a little bit is to see if it can actually figure itself out. It's taking a long ass time to do this, like what I think is a trivial task, but I can probably clone this problem and give it to Claude Sonnet and see if it can figure it out in a faster time, if you know what I mean. Look at this. Like, what is it? Oh my God, bro. It's almost going in a loop. Bruh. There's no coding model for Grok yet. That's correct. Yeah. What is it doing? I don't want you to do this. Stop. From MiniFlare, component of the Cloudflare dev tools integrated in Next.js, appears to be compatibility issue during or bug. Reject. I don't want this trash. Okay. We're good. RM, RF node modules is what I'm going to go ahead and do. Just to reinstall, rebuild everything. It's probably going to fix everything. Yeah. So bun install is going to just reinstall everything for me. And we should be good to go from here, I bet. Like, here we go. Bun dev. Boom. See? We back, family. Now it's compiling my app, which could take probably half a second to a second, and it's going to find all this compilation bugs. Yeah. There we go. See? If you haven't fallen into, what was it, Lisa? If you haven't fallen into the AI coder agent loop, you haven't lived. Oh my God, yes. So folks, you see sometimes why some of these models, like I'm running into these problems, and I'm doing this live because you may not know what to do, and that could be a little bit scary. But what kind of got me down this route is I've hit this issue before, and in the stack trace, we saw specifically call out like in the node modules folder. And so when I start seeing those types of problems, I'm like, I've seen this before. So you can remove that folder and just do a bun install or, npm install again. It's going to reinstall all of your packages again. And you may hit some of these weird compatibility issues if you, run into a bug and then you switch branches and come back. You could have some stale like modules and some weird versions that are overlapping with each other. And it sometimes causes those issues. The only way to get rid of it is to remove them and reinstall them again. The reason why this works is that's how this system is built anyways. Whenever you deploy a new build to a server, it's a completely blank file system. And then it just literally does an npm install every time. So you're basically getting a fresh state. So in essence, we're sort of reproducing another build again by saying, hey, we're starting off blank and then reinstall all of the components and letting them run. So that's a quick FYI on kind of what that looks like. So yeah, a lot of people are feeling the same type of thing there. So yeah, give it a few weeks. Grok will have a model that we can read against. Yeah, I'm hoping that there could be an interesting thing as far as like pricing for Grok 4 or some better model. So is $20 Sonnet enough? I think so. I think the $20 plan can get you a very long ways and so forth. Yeah. Create a ZSH shortcut that can do the removing modules and reinstalls them. Ben, that's a really good idea. I might do that in a future video. I don't do it very often, but if you do it once, might as well set that up, right? That basically what he's saying is you can just create the shortcut that you can just call once. You can say rmn or something or rm node, and then that specific shortcut will just basically run this command to remove the modules and stuff like that. So yeah. So the code that we've implemented so far has produced a compilation error. So this is the error that we wanted to tell Cursor to fix. And the way that we can probably see it is if we go back into our code and you see all this red here, these were all the type errors that we saw. And so I'm going to go back and close this tab because this is not something we need anymore. We already fixed our problem. And I'm going to go back to my history because I totally forgot where I was here. Here you go. And so we told it to fix the linter errors, which it did. And now fix the build errors. And I think is there anything else we need to do in here? I'm just going to give it all of this context. Undev. And add to chat is just Command L. And then you see the lines here and go. Vibe coding 101, right? Just like give it all the things, let it code and chill. So we still haven't really got a feature out of this. It's still kind of, you've reached your project usage limits by this date based on your current usage. Consider switching to auto for more requests, asking for smaller changes, or enabling pay as you go to avoid interruptions until your cycle resets. Guys, I'm officially cooked. Cursor is saying that I can no longer use the Pro plan because I'm trying to get away with this $20 a month thing. But because I love y'all and I wanted to see how this Grok 4 model would perform, I saved my virginity. I mean, I saved my my $20 plan just so y'all can see me suffer through this thing. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh yes. Yeah, bro. Chat, are we cooked? I think we're cooked, fam. Life is too short to use. I'm telling you, Kino, y'all are on this right now. Life is too short to use the auto mode on Cursor for sure. Lisa, thank you so much for your support. Lisa is a real MVP right now. Went through, got a whole yearly subscription for my app, which is super duper amazing. Became a member on YouTube and is super duper supportive. So if you haven't had a chance, go check out Lisa Ross, AI for Scale, coming through with the sauce all the time. I definitely appreciate the support. Like y'all are real ones who are my members and stuff. Yeah, I hate Cursor for that, money hog. Oh man, I came for the AI but stayed for the suffering. Yeah, bro. Like this. Oh my goodness. Are we gonna have to Cursor Ultra in this, please? Are we gonna have to? Like, I could pay as you go, but if I pay as I go, I possibly could be paying more than $200 a month, right? I think it's gonna be time. I think it might be time. You know what else somebody's saying? It might be Kimmy time. I think it might be that too, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Oh, Pro Plus. So I don't see a Pro Plus plan, by the way. I saw it in the documentation. Cursor has this thing in the documentation where they talk about a Pro Plus plan. And so if I go to cursor.com, there isn't anything about that. So if I go Pro Plus, I'm subscribed to Pro, but I'm still on the free plan in the app or something like that. No, Pro. plus individual. So here they say for coders using with agents almost every day, that's me, right? For power users, the $200 a month ultra. And this is how they break down those requests, right? So if we talk about the number of requests, it sounds like the Grok 4 in the max plan is actually, I mean, we didn't do like 200 requests. We've done like maybe 10, right? I mean, look how many tokens we've used. Like not even that much. Barely even 100K. Cursor, y'all got to quit playing with me right now. That's crazy. That's so crazy, right? Yeah, it's $60 a month for Cursor plus extra plus unlimited. $200 is a lot. I do not like the pay as you go limit type of thing. I have a certified, I use it every day. Dashboard is, it's so that in the dashboard is the Pro Plus. So if I go to like cursor.com and if I go to dashboard, I should be able to see a place to like maybe upgrade my usage or something like that to more. Is that kind of what I understand? So in my accounts, I'm taking a look at my account right now and it's literally saying like, these are all of the stuff that's included. And like, I guess even some of the errors. So you can kind of see my token cost adding up and even the auto is in max mode. No. So this is all included, I guess. Auto, no. Interesting. Damn, I've been cooking. So tokens? Wow. Sheesh. So somewhere in here, I should be able to basically see what like my billing is and background agents, integration settings. I don't see the plans like in my settings itself. I'm going to the overview. And if I go to usage, and my usage in here, maybe at the bottom of usage, I don't see it. And if I go to billing and invoices, maybe I have to go manage subscription. And if I hit manage subscription, it says pop-up window block. And let me just go ahead and take a look. I'm blocking this out because I'm not exactly sure where I need to update the subscription and kind of like what specific window is without revealing certain things. So it looks like I'll have to, yeah, I don't see the plans. If someone has an idea, let me know because I want to figure out where I can get this plan because the only place I see it is in their actual website. Like if you go to cursor.com/pricing, I don't see any other way. There's no like Pro Plus plan. I see the yearly, but that's it. This is custom. This is get teams, but I don't see the other one. And if I do get ultra, it looks like it's going to take me to their website to get the ultra tier, but that's about it. Huh. Whoa. Man. Oh, you've reached your project today's. Consider switching to auto for more requests, asking for smaller changes. Man, this is whack. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I'm super disappointed. I don't know about you, but I'm super disappointed. I don't like that I can't continue with my existence until I upgrade. And the only upgrade path right now is literally from Pro Plus, or not even Pro Plus. Literally Pro. In my dashboard, I don't see the Pro to Pro Plus plan. I don't see any way to upgrade. I just see a way to cancel my plan or like go from yearly to monthly. And then in the monthly part in Stripe, the only plan that's offered is like my regular Pro plan. It's not Pro Plus. That's really weird. And then the Ultra plan is there. So, oh man, I can't tell you how much money I'm paying for all these models. So, okay, this is getting a little crazy here, and I didn't even achieve the result that I wanted. So as of now, I basically just have, like so far, I have some. Let's kind of like recap maybe what we've done, and I'll try to figure something out because I want to get this going for the next stream. I just literally just want to code with Grok 4 and just kind of see how we keep going. I think that's kind of what we have to do. And hopefully even Kimmy 2 arrives as well. And then maybe I'll get some first looks at that. So what we did, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just catching up onto the stream right now, they didn't put is we started off this stream to see if we can actually add some features to my existing app. So what I was able to do was able to go to raytranscribes.com, and I was able to add a login button. I was like, let's just throw a simple softball at this thing. Can it add a login button to my existing web page? And Grok 4 was extremely good. I gave it the instructions to go search my repo. It searched my repo. It did, it saw I had existing conventions because I told it there was an existing convention. Please reuse them. It understood that those were the instructions. We saw it do the various tool calls and look through all those files, just like it would with Claude Code. And it did really well. It used the stuff. It didn't write extra buttons or code. It followed all my design principles, and it works in mobile. It works in all these different modes. I was like, that's a pretty good success. And so the next step that we wanted to do was to try to see if we can actually update my Ray Transcribes app and see if we can add a feature called a word list. So that way, whenever you have certain words that you say all the time, that the transcription will be able to pick those up and include them into our build and so forth. And on that journey, we had to basically just tell it to use the web to do some research. I gave it a couple components to review, gave it another API spec, and then we saw Grok 4 do the thinking, search the web, and in parallel do all these other tool calls, do some additional thinking, and actually give us a really nice research. And it was very thoughtful because it actually not only looked through the components, but actually kind of put together what that structure would look like in terms of what it had to do. So for me, delegating this is something I would normally use Claude 4 Opus to do. And this did it really well. And at the price of Claude Sonnet, which is really awesome, right? So we had our implementation plan. It spelled all that stuff out for us. And then we wanted to modify the implementation plan to actually do the whole goal of, there were a couple different plans that it wanted us to do. So I chose option B, which is like to do the real thing instead of putting something that users will have to keep putting in the words every time, which is super annoying. So then we just had Cursor just do its thing to do the coding. And then from here, after it implemented the changes, we did another quick review and then passed it in the convex rules. And this is where it got really interesting and super impressive for Grok 4, because I have probably 50K worth of context so far. I gave it a pretty big rules file, at least 10K worth of tokens. And this is kind of where I went through my entire code base running a bunch of tool calls. So it thought for 11 seconds and it did a lot of tool calling and looked at all these different files, kept all that stuff in its context and did this entire review. This is something that I've only seen with really high intelligence models like Claude 4 Sonnet, Claude 4 Opus, O3. And so this is super duper awesome as far as what it's been able to achieve here. Once we reviewed that plan for what it needed to do for the fixes, I just told it to proceed. And then we've gotten basically this far. And then I wanted to do an additional review because I saw an error in the code that it output because there was an issue on the server side for how we would check for users. And I already have some code that deals with that. So that's one thing that it totally overlooked. And in that review process of wanting to take a look at that and then write code is kind of where we hit our limits with Cursor. So we barely have crossed maybe 150,000 tokens or something like that to Cursor. With the Grok 4 model in the max mode, I think I have pay-as-you-go usage enabled, and it's now hit my limits for the month. I'm on the $20 a month Cursor plan, and the other thing is now we're having another issue because there's no way for me to get to this Cursor Plus plan that apparently is $60 a month. So Pro Plus would give me that $60 a month. But in the dashboard, in Stripe interface, even on the Cursor website, I do not see a way to upgrade to that plan. The only plan I can go from is the $20 a month Pro plan to the $200 Ultra plan. So there is possibly some messaging errors here. The documentation on Cursor's website definitely shows that that plan exists. So I'm not really sure like how I can get to that plan, because in the UI for Cursor itself, it didn't say, click this link to upgrade, or here are some upgrade options for you to go take you to that next level. So with all that said, this is kind of the conundrum that we're at right now. I have this feature that I'm almost ready to ship, but now I'm kind of blocked by this and I need to figure this out. And I have existing tools like Claude Code, which I can hop right into. And then I might actually end up doing that as well. I just realized that I'm kind of like a couple of hours, an hour and 45 minutes into the stream, and I've made it this far. And I want to keep going, obviously, to ship this feature because I feel like this is really important. But I also have to, do various things, use the restroom and do that type of stuff. So Cursor's new tagline is "We screwed up." I wanted to get to my users and answer some of your questions before I head on out, because I have to basically head on out for some events. So let me just kind of go back in the chat real quick and kind of catch up with you guys and answer any questions. So drop them in right now. My members get the first priority as far as like answering some questions. So make sure you drop them in right now. So no matter what tool you use, if you want to cook in corporate space, you're probably going to have to use Copilot tied to your own private OpenAI deployment. So learning Copilot Plus is probably a helpful tool. Yeah, definitely appreciate that. Ben, thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone who's been able to stay on the stream as well. Y'all have been cooking with me for a little while. So this has been really fun to kind of add this type of thing in. And everyone's kind of going back and forth. I like better when you could have 3 different LLM platforms, $15 per month. Dude, those were the days. I feel old already saying that we already have gone through this era. Yo, this is so crazy. It's like, yeah, I'm totally Unk mode right now, So it feels like we're all getting pushed to pick a tool: Cursor, Anthropic, OpenAI, Gemini, pay the max rate, and then we'll be locked into that platform. I think that's why it's been really important for me and for you guys to see me use these tools in the way I would normally do them, right? I am investing in myself, putting this money out up front. And so I figure others are kind of also in the same boat. And I'm just kind of sharing publicly with my app as well. So you can kind of get a sense, like, without paying for it, if you know what I mean. If you feel like this can really deliver for you, like, if you do like a certain workflow or you're doing a similar workflow to mine, you can kind of get a good sense of how the model is feeling just by watching someone else use it, right? So it may not be exactly your code flow, but you're like, okay, I am liking this model. So the thing that I got out of this entire video today for me is like, Grok 4, it cooks. Grok 4 in a web browser, having to copy and paste code back and forth is really messy. Grok 4 with the tool calling inside of Cursor is hot. Like, it's really, really impressive. So much so that's like, do I still want to use Claude Code? Well, I like Claude Code. Cursor is so much good. It's like, it's compared to like last month, Cursor is like, wow, you've really stepped it up. You've really been able to use that tool calling hotness. You've really been able to use all the intelligence of these new models. And it's looking really good. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of torn. I need to spend more time with these, but you're getting the first look, my first reaction. And I think this is kind of what I'm here for. You know what I mean? So definitely like hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, for sure. Cause y'all need to get up on this right now. Ray Fernando 1337 is where I'm at. I'm here every single day. This is called the Summer of Vibes, Summer of Coding. So Ray Fernando, I used to be an engineer at Apple, doing the summer of streaming every single day, showing up right around 9 o'clock a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I'm based in California. I'm in the Bay Area, so I can actually meet some of these founders. My goal is to also stream every day, but try to see if I can meet founders, meet people in person, and I'm going to be doing those live streams. These live streams are actually supported from viewers like you. So in order for you to drop a support and get into the private Discord, I do have a YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/@RayFernando1337, in here is where you can actually support me, and you just hit the little join button. And that join button right now is $6.99 a month. My goal is to get to my first 100 subscribers. So far, we have a good milestone. We've made it to our first 50 subscribers, so that's super awesome. Once we reach 100, we're basically just going to go ahead and double the price for this type of membership to get into the Discord channel, to get in with other builders. I want to keep it around the price like this because it's still approachable. People can get in and start kind of interacting with each other. As of now, while it's not listed in the perks, you do get access to the Discord. And, like the official Discord pricing and stuff will actually be double than this. So by you getting in early, you kind of get to do that. At the same time, I'm also planning to do like at least once a month, like kind of member meetups. So when you get a chance, when you do reply to my email to get into the Discord and so forth, make sure you just let me know what time zone you're in. And because I want to do a couple different time zones to cover some people who are in here. Well, we just kind of hang out and do like a members only live stream, which would be really cool. So I want to at least do that once a month for y'all because I feel like that's going to be good value. And we could talk shop and figure out, all the stuff that's going on. So other than that, I'll start chatting on Discord when my phone number is unlocked 10 days. Oh, wow. Okay. That's a bummer. That's such a bummer. Hopefully that ends up working out for you so you can get in. That's what's up. All right. So is Grok 4 already supported in Cursor? Yes, it is actually. And we've been using it. And so if you want to take a look, I'm going to have the timestamps for this live stream available so you can go back later on and refresh this video. And probably in the next couple of hours, I'll have that. I'm just going to run the transcriptions with Ray Transcribes. And then I'll have, I have another prompt. And that's another feature I'm going to add into my Ray Transcribes app, by the way. So if you don't know, this whole stream is powered by Ray Transcribes. So raytranscribes.com is my app that I'm building for content creators. I've discovered that you can get actually found like the big channels literally just by putting in your transcripts as fast as possible. So if you're in there and you can get some accurate transcripts, you're going to beat out a lot of other content creators who haven't published videos yet, or maybe they have, but they're waiting for YouTube to finish the processing. So I made this all on a live stream last year, and I've just kind of kept improving on it. And now we're at this point where, we've been able to have a lot of impact. So what I'm planning to do, if you sign up for the beta, you basically will get access to some of the new features that I'm dropping. So the timestamps thing is something that I've been experimenting with. I've got the sauce down. I'm going to ship that feature soon. I'm going to have a blog post to AI feature, batch uploading. I'm also going to have YouTube link support. So that way your own YouTube links, you can go back to your old videos, select them and kind of get the transcripts for them and then do whatever you want to do is there. So all of these new features going to be landing. You can get into this today. I don't have a free trial, but I do have a $20 off coupon. So if you just go into here and you hit join the beta club, in the checkout, just type in Ray VIP 20. And this is to the first 20 users. Let me know in the comments if that's expired. And if you are currently a member of actually my Let Me Cook fam. So if you have this little golden badge, if you've subscribed to me, let me know in the Discord and I'll get you a coupon code so that way you can get access to my app. And if you're an existing member, if you already have access to my app, hit me up. I'll get you some additional minutes and just really take care of you because I value your feedback. I value everyone who's been able to show up with me on these streams. I'm coding with AI. I'm actually, this is a real app that I'm using myself every day. And by me using these AI language models to code and update, I'm actually giving you a real perspective of how I approach my engineering with this. And you're getting like not a snake game, right? Like I feel like everyone who does anything with a new model, especially like Grok 4, I can't tell you how many snake games I've watched on YouTube for the past 48 hours. It's been so annoying. So I was like, I just want to see some real code, like actually do some real stuff. I like Claude Code Max, starting to use it about 2 weeks back. I'm having Claude Code CLI, Claude Desktop, then Web UI if not on my machine. Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah. I installed Claude inside of Cursor now, and it's just about try it out. Yeah, Claude Code inside of Cursor is really cool. My project's huge though, but I have a limited context. And yeah, so you can start out Gizmo just by asking it some questions and having it search through your code base. Check out rayfernando.ai. If you haven't had a chance to, I have a guide that will guide you through on some of the stuff that you want to do. So real quick, just for you getting up to speed since you got Claude Code installed, one of the things that I do is plan mode. So you do hit Shift Tab 2 times, and then you'll see this green planning mode in there. And once you have that green planning mode, start to ask it those questions on your code base, similar to the way I was asking here earlier with Grok 4 to look through my code base. And then you'll get that similar type of thinking coming out. Once you have that context, you can also use this specific keyword in your thinking, either in planning mode or in your execution of code, which is ultra think. So that'll give it additional reasoning tokens. Keep in mind, if you're not on the highest tier plan, you're going to chew through your budget super fast. So use this sparingly. And it may not also yield the results, but I just want to tell you about this. And at rayfernando.ai, I'm going to put this into the actual chat so you can click this as well. In there, you'll be able to kind of get a sense. You just go ahead and look through this. This is a blog post that I wrote. And if you're a member, you can just ask me some questions on the Discord as well. Snake games are the new hello world, pretty much. Are you covering MCP protocol tools? Not in this live stream, but I can do a future live stream where I kind of cover that. Bro, let's cook. What's going on, John? Thank you guys for joining, man. This is a crazy Saturday. It's been really good. I'm really excited about this. Family, I might have to give in and do the Cursor Ultra plan. I love Cursor so much as an interface, and I'm actually really blown away. So it's really tough right now. Is it going to be Claude Code with Cursor, or is it going to be whatever? Because one of the advantages of Cursor is you have all these other models, but I don't have that intelligence from Claude Code. So do I downgrade my Claude Code plan from the $200 a month plan down to the $20 and then go to Ultra for Cursor, use that, and then whenever I need intelligence or something that, I need more Claude sonnet requests, I just keep using the Claude Code until the $20 a month requests are gone and upgrade to 100, right? So that way I'm not paying like $400 a month. Keep in mind, I still have the $300 a month plan that I'm probably going to cancel from the Grok 4 Think Harder thing because that hasn't yielded too many good results. I'd rather have everything inside of Cursor because it's not going to a web browser. I just keep it in Cursor. And that way I can leverage the intelligence. And when that new code model drops, I already have the Ultra plan inside of Cursor. So I'll just keep kind of hitting at that. I know it's a lot to think about, right? But I'm just telling you what I'm thinking right now. And I'll keep finalizing as I go. So if you're just tuning in, you get to see my latest results. So what about Repo Prompt? I have Repo Prompt. It is amazing. I want to do a video. I'm doing some more investigations because you can use Repo Prompt plus Claude Code or Cursor. So Cursor can act as like an MCP server. And I want to test this out with Grok 4. So I need more tool calling. I need to upgrade my plan on Cursor so that I can do more of this agentic coding. But I want to use Repo Prompt to have it go into my code base and then run these different requests and come back and send those as tool calls. Since Grok 4 excels at tool calling, I think Grok 4 plus Repo Prompt could be a really interesting combo. And I want to do some more digging into that in some future videos for sure. I'm using Warp AI and Terminal. Yeah, there's a lot of other tools I need to dig into, but yeah, these are my main ones right now. I see Cline, the plan acting. Cline is a plugin to VS Code. So I still have VS Code with Copilot. I see. Love it. Thank you. This is awesome. Cline is solid. Okay. I've heard a lot of people talk about Cline for sure. Give a shout out. I'm also a prompt engineer. Awesome, man. Yeah. Prompt engineering. I watch a couple videos on that. This is really cool. Warped 2 terminal is mind blowing. I'll have to check that out. I'm sort of old school. I like the shell. I like ZSH. And so keeping my terminals super simple, but I know a lot of people like the AI tooling and all the other stuff in Warp. And I think a lot of people definitely dig it. Yeah. Learned about Warped on Thursday. Yeah, Warp is great. I'm using a $50 plan, 10,000 API requests. Bro, that's crazy. Bro is ducking me. Bye. I don't know what you're saying. Oh, why not use Windsurf? I tried Windsurf and I like it. They have a SWE model that's pretty cool. So this planning stuff that I was talking about earlier is what stuff that I was doing in the SWE model. But I canceled my plan because like the rest of the coding features inside of Cursor or inside of Windsurf felt really incomplete. And so if I had to choose between it was like $15 a month versus $20 a month, I'd rather pay the extra money. And then I got so much more out of Cursor. So Cursor is like background agents, the way it did the linting fixes. I didn't have to go back and forth for quite some time versus with Windsurf, it has some okay parts to it, but it just didn't really round out as well as Cursor. And Cursor not only has caught up, but it's completely excelled in this entire space for me, So much watch video. The new code, Sean Grove, OpenAI, he talks about how prompt engineering is really the new coding. Compelling argument. I think this is something whenever you're using AI, you discover the same types of things. This is a concept that most people started to discover in the last couple of years. It's like that this is becoming a thing. I wouldn't really buy too much into the FOMO that you're missing out just because you don't know how to prompt. This space is still being discovered by everyone. And there's still so many ways to organize these types of things. I think the central truth here is the fact that these language models are incredibly intelligent, but they vary in their output. And the output is whatever you're putting in English is going to change what comes out on the other side. The exact words, the exact capitalizations, exact characters you put in, orders all make a actually big deal. And this is something that if you watch a previous live stream I have with Eric Provencher on Repo Prompt, he talks a lot about that because he has been working on his app there to talk about context. We talk a little bit about context rot. We talk a little bit about some of these topics as well. So definitely go watch and listen to these researchers. The folks at Anthropic have amazing research and they have some podcasts as well. You want to listen to them. They have a lot of really great insights on this type of thing, but don't buy into the FOMO or into the fear. Approach this as an engineer, approach this as someone who's really curious about this space so that you can continue to learn and improve your skill set here, because we're all trying to figure this out together. What he says is that people should start treating their prompts as their code base and not throw them away, but use them to regenerate projects in the future or something like that. Robert, I agree and disagree, and this is something I'd love to have a conversation with him. There are a couple things in coding that you do have is like the repeatability of things. And so having worked at these massive, I've worked for a Fortune 500 company and I worked on the update system, right? So on the update system, you have packages for each specific part of the code. It all has to be compiled together, and then you have this master version or like the major version of an operating system. And all of those are basically compiled to like one big manifest, right? And so once you have this manifest, this configuration can be repeated over and over again, and it can be kept for like accountability, for debuggability, for all parts of different things that you need. One of the weird parts right now is the fact that in language models, in AI, whenever you're hitting an endpoint, they say you're hitting, the OpenAI GPT-4 endpoint, but what is happening behind the scenes is that you're not necessarily getting the same exact model and that exact configuration for the exact time at different times of the day. There are many factors that are influencing what you get out for your output. Is the server really busy? Are there a lot of users? Is your request being routed to the same server with the exact same workload every time? Because what they do is they'll take your requests and they'll batch them together with other users, and then they'll run them through the GPUs so that they get the most efficiency. And what ends up happening is that you actually get different results if the server is really busy or if it's not. So while you still have the same prompt, depending on the time that you run it, you're actually going to get different results. And there's a whole art form for scaling these language models in data centers that is not really talked about or very public. So if this was like exactly true, like he's saying, there should also be the other side as far as like what these model providers are giving, that you can actually, knock yourself and say like these prompts with this specific environment produces these results. And like, that is what I consider like engineering. Saying, it's not very black boxy, saying like, I threw these words in and then I got this out, because it's one, these language models aren't deterministic. And then two, while they're not deterministic, there's even larger factors on the server side and on the big data center side that can actually change your outputs. And it's like, can be the same output, right? And so those things aren't really brought forth to the user. And I'm extremely passionate about this because I worked on these types of build systems in like intricate details. And I can tell you like, there's not a lot of transparency behind the scenes on what's going on with that. And it's something that I feel like there isn't an answer to it, but you should be aware that it's good to have these types of prompts, but they continue to evolve with even within the same model version from the day to day, time to time. And that's why it's really important to try to keep testing and try the different things. I want to tell you, like maybe a year ago from today, one of the biggest things that I've learned is to like take away rules and take away things and try to remove stuff from the context. When I was first making my apps, like you'll see in my earlier blog posts, I had these mega prompts. And this is what I gave to Claude Sonnet 3.5 to generate a web app in one shot, right? So like that was, at that time, that was ideal. It's like you have these long detailed instructions and you can do these types of things. But now the model providers have incorporated a lot of those instructions in its actual, user set. So when you go to the web and you say, make me a web app, it has more ideas about its own web tooling and all these other stuff in its background so that the user doesn't have to type that in. So they've optimized it for user experience. If you're doing an API call, you don't necessarily have that system prompt level thing. So a lot to consider, but I definitely wanted to pass this knowledge down. It's something I'm really passionate about, but you should also be aware that this is a thing. So sorry, I had to kind of get off my high horse here as like the old man on the block. But y'all need to know this, right? Like I think people aren't really truthful, or they may not understand how this stuff really works on the back end. And I don't really know. This is me just poking around the edges as an engineer. I've never worked for OpenAI. I've never worked for Anthropic. I don't have any inside baseball. I'm just an engineer and I'm poking around using their APIs and services. I try to run my own models. I try to like recreate the stuff using Python or whatever framework to understand how a tokenizer works. I still really don't know, I know very little compared to what these researchers have spent years and years and years working on. So I'm just only telling you from my own experience what I am seeing. And it's not necessarily, I could be completely off, right? But it is what it is. So let's see. I'm just kind of catching up with the chat a little bit and seeing if anyone. I'm 15 building the first AI scheduler. Do you recommend adding Grok 4 to my app? Dude, just try it out, man. Like I would just say, if you're, try it out, try different models, try different techniques. I think to prototype, it's really cool to see what these models can do, but then try to see if you can come up with a workflow that you can chain together. So, break down your app idea into multiple steps. And when you start to do that, you can have interesting architectures. So you can say, oh, let me just throw a reasoning model like O3 and ask it some basic questions to extract some other topics to take a look at. And then let me ask some questions as if I'm an expert or something like that. Or talk to your users and say, what is your outcome for something that's being scheduled? I think if you're doing an AI scheduler for soccer moms, it's going to be a different optimization than an AI scheduler for someone who's driving for like Amazon, right? So like someone who's driving Amazon packages and working at Uber is going to want breaks and optimizations in a different way than maybe someone who is like driving their kids to school and has other factors like traffic into play, right? So if you're going to call traffic APIs, you're going to want to call them at certain times to know that these schools are really busy at these times. And then you can say during what part of the year, what other factors like weather come into play. So that will make your app and scheduler feel more like it's just magic versus, some other user experience. So yeah, I think Bilal, I think this is more kind of getting towards like what's your target user. You don't know what your target user is, and that's okay. If you basically have the app open, get the users, start talking to them, and it's kind of start narrowing down what path and what users you want to serve, because that'll actually get you better results in terms of what you want to do. So yeah, yes, I do this. That's awesome. I know this kid on Twitter isn't the founder of Calendly. Calendly? I don't know. Oh, it's me. Dude. Yo, we have some like amazing people on this stream. That's so cool, man. I appreciate the follows and stuff. That's really, really awesome. Yeah. Do you allow the users to select the model card, bring their own model API key? Look at Theo's T3 Chat GPT implementation for inspiration, possibly. Ah, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing the sauce. Glad to be part of the journey. That's so cool. Man, this is really, really amazing. What mic am I using? I am using the Shure SM7B. So this is like my current setup right now, by the way. So if you want to see what this kind of looks like, I basically have my screen here. I have the Rodecaster Duo, and the Rodecaster Duo is an awesome, awesome sound processor. And basically, when you combine that with like this Shure SM7B, it like podcast voice style is really, really good. And as far as lights, I just have this nice little like soft light here thing. It's like little round stuff. And then I also have like my computer and like my camera, which is like a Canon thing. And then I have a like little side light that's kind of bouncing around me. And then behind me, I just kind of have like the vibe setup, which is basically just my little book light. So that's really cool. And that's a real fountain back there. And then what else have we got going on? I have my backpack. Oh, shoot. Okay, my backpack is stuck on my chair, but that's okay. What else do I got here? I think the computer here, there, and then I have this camera here, which is really awesome. And if you're interested in the software that I'm using, it's called Ecamm Live. So Ecamm Live is something that they make for the Mac only. And it's a streaming software that allows me to stream to Twitch, to X, to YouTube, to LinkedIn, pretty much anywhere that I want. And it's super duper awesome and super helpful. And yeah, and it allows me to have these cool custom screens that you're seeing, basically how I can go back and forth like this to this and like back down like that. So yeah, no, this is really fun. I love doing these live streams and love helping people, which is really, really, really cool. It's a really good video. Now, I hope Cursor brings visual intelligence into the build and see what it's built using visual issues rather than in-person explaining. Yeah. Are you in the Valley? How can you afford such a space? Afford it? Who says that I afford this thing? Yeah. For some background, basically, I used to be an engineer at Apple for like 13 years. So I started there in 2010. And yeah, believe it or not, I actually worked at the retail store for about a year. And that's kind of how I came up, like before that I was working, at people's homes, fixing computers and things, and just hustled my way all the way up into the engineering orgs and stuff. So, I don't know if you know this, but like Apple stock in 2010, like, let's see if I can ask, what was the price of Apple in June of 2010?
Can't get stock information for June 2010, but here's how it did. Decline today.
So like I can ask probably ChatGPT and it's probably going to tell me. But if you can kind of like figure out, I think it's gone up like 10,000%. And I bought into Apple stock a long time ago, like before Apple, and then working in the retail store. And then while working as an engineer, they give you stock grants every year and stuff like that. And so that's actually currently supporting me. And that's how I'm like self-funding myself to get off the ground. The other way that I'm being funded by is like supporters like you. So I'm actually using that money to like help test these models, try these different things out. It's, buying all this equipment is extremely expensive. So I've been able to basically recoup some of that to continue to increase the quality of these streams. Because my goal is really to help use AI to gain freedom. And I don't want to go back to work at a corporation anymore. I feel like with this AI wave, if it is what it is and what I am seeing, this could probably be the biggest breakthrough in all of humanity. And I want to turn on the camera today and start talking about it and using this live to build these products. And I'm just blown away by the impact that people have just using this stuff and what people have been able to learn on the live stream and everyone kind of coming together to share the knowledge. I really love that. This is what I live for. I love people. I love being able to share things on live. So this is really, really great. Oh, it's a really good video. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, Macintosh or Red Delicious. Oh, I don't know what this is about. Yeah, that's what's up. So, I have a startup I want to pitch to you. I'm already working on landing page and how I'm going to structure the MVP. Do you mind if I get some insights from you? If you're a member, just drop it in my Discord for sure. I'll take a look. I'm not afraid to take a look at things for members. I remember when OS 10 came out on the Unix platform and I thought I should buy stock. Lisa, it changed my life. I feel like most people don't know that I used to be a big Windows guy. I used to be a big PC stan and I was all Windows everything. I was into gaming. I was all in the graphics cards. I would build my own PCs and everything. I would fix all the Windows bugs. It was a pain to use Windows all the time. And I became so good at fixing computers and going to people's houses. I would do that. But I started playing with the with Mac because someone on my team had a Mac computer. And he's like, dude, check this out. And then I started playing. I was like, the first thing I fell in love with was the Bonjour networking stack. And then I started to kind of peel apart, like, what is this thing, Unix? And that blew my mind. And then I realized the power of it. And then when the iPhone was announced, I said, I need to be on that system because they were able to shrink that huge operating system into a tiny device to run for like a full day. And the interactivity that they had, I just knew that they had such a large advantage because of me playing around with the operating system. And that's kind of where I doubled down, went on, and I was like, I need to be at that company. I don't know how I'm going to get in, but I'll get in, right? So retail store, from then on out, it's like, you can't stop me. So yeah, that's what it is. Started on a Mac in the early 90s. Shoot me in the face. No. It's still not too late, right? I don't know. There's a lot of other companies that are doing some really interesting stuff. Have you pitched Theo T3? He's always looking for ideas to invest in. Yeah, for those folks, I think I've heard of that guy. I saw him the other day at the Convex meetup. I didn't really get a chance to catch up or chat with him. So I am not a member. How do I get in? In order to get into the membership, all you have to do is just go to youtube.com/@RayFernando. So you basically just go right to my channel. And on my channel page, basically I have like a little membership option. So if you hit join, so once you subscribe, you could just hit join. By the way, you have to like subscribe to all of the notifications, because if you do personalize, you may not get the live streams, by the way. But yeah, you hit join. And then from here, once you join, there's going to be a post on sending me an email in the post, like a members only post. And then you send me your details and I'll basically be able to get you into the Discord. That way we can kind of chat some more and so forth. So I definitely like to take care of my members and make sure that they're all good though. So great stream in Grok 4 cursor, really worth returning back. Ibrahim, I think so. It's one of those things that the grass seems greener on the other side, right? So that's why I still want to play around with it. To me, it's worth at least trying it out, getting in that ultra, pushing it to the limits and seeing how far I can push it, right? Right now with Claude code, I don't feel like I have that overhead, right? Like I feel like I could just dump as much stuff as I want. But I've been so impressed with Grok 4 and the way that Cursor was able to ask questions in my code base and come back with the results. That is really good. That's really hard to beat right now. Can you use Grok 4 Heavy to check how translating between Korean novel to English? You can use Korean novel raw. I'll have to check that in a future stream for sure. I'm curious about which to choose, the Cursor $60 plan, Augment Code's $100 plan, or Claude Code's $100 plan. What's your recommendation? Give me one solid choice. Arun, just try their basic plan. Like the most basic plan that you possibly can get, even the free one, and just see how far you can get. If you like a certain workflow, just go on that, right? I feel like you can't go wrong doing 1 month of this, 1 month of that, and 1 month of that. I think they're all right? Like I'm still finding that out. For me, I've tried Cursor. I didn't like the experience with like the way the agent was going. So then I switched to Claude Code and I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Use it like crazy. And then Cursor came out with an update and I switched back to that. And now I'm really considering going back to that. So like, have an ecosystem you like, try it out, see what works for you. I feel like this is not a journey for me. This is a journey for you. And I would encourage you to kind of try them out, just starting from the base and trying to go up from there. So yeah, is the YouTube membership different from the X subscription? It should be the same. Eric, if you are subscribed to the X thing, just send me a DM and then I'll be able to get you in the Discord, right? If you're already subscribed from there. If not, then yeah, we'll figure it out. But I like the YouTube subscription because people who comment here on YouTube, like their tag is identified, on the streams. There's like there's a lot of really cool perks for the YouTube stuff that I really like a lot. So Grok forgets too easily. Hard to remind it on basic stuff every day. Okay. Give it a week. Grok will be your place again. I hope so. By the way, Kimi K2, we have to check that out on the stream. A lot of buzz around this. I've seen some of the initial benchmarks. I don't believe benchmarks until I test it for my workflows. So on Kimi K2, before I get on my live stream, I want to make sure I have a place to host it. Where can I download the models? Which providers are going to have what? If you want to already get ahead of the mark right now, this is what I would recommend doing. llm-calc.rayfernando.ai. I made this app because I needed to keep track of what models sizes I can install. So this will allow you to, I'm going to change it to dark mode for the folks. If you have 16 gigs of RAM and you're doing a 4-bit quantization, this is how many parameters you can run on your machine without the machine freaking out. So this is kind of what you're going to be rolling with there. If you have, like for me, I have a 256 gig machine. I can run basically 500 million parameters at 4-bit quantization. If you want the quantization levels at 8-bit, this is how much I can run. So if you have like 64 gigs of RAM, let's just say you have 32 gigs of RAM available, you're going to run like this type of model and you have to maybe quantize it down to 4 so you can get like the 57 billion parameter. If you want to run a 72 billion parameter model with 32 gigs, I think you're kind of out of luck. You can run it with a smaller quantization, but it may not yield the same results. I would definitely recommend 4-bit at least. And as far as context window, you're only going to have 2000 tokens context window. If you want to have like, let's just say another 0. So like you want to have at least 20,000 context window, you hit enter. This is how many parameters you'll need to run. So there's an actual calculation that this is done. I have an open source repo called LLM Calc. In here, you can actually see how the calculations are done and how it's derived. So this is completely open source. You can run it yourself. Open to pull requests as well if you want to submit some pull requests. But I made this tool because I needed to figure out, I had so many people questioning me like, I have this size machine, what should I run? It's like, I don't know. Let me do the math. And I kept doing these calculations and I thought I'd make something easier for y'all to check that out. So make sure you check that out if you hadn't had a chance, which would be super duper helpful. Moonshot AI Kimmy is the GitHub repo, just created it yesterday. Yo. Wow, we have a similar career path, except I'm a little older, started on Apple II. What? Oh, that's so cool, man. Apple II, that is some real OG stuff. Jose, welcome to the membership, man. Thank you so much for becoming a member. I really appreciate that. Like, everyone's support really goes a long way because I'm really trying to use AI to build a future here. And like this support actually goes through helping me test with all these models and try these different things. So hit me up with your, there's going to be a post. You can go ahead and look back on YouTube. The instructions are on there to get on the Discord, and love to get you on Discord. Happy to chat some more as well. So that'd be pretty cool. 1337 AF. Yes. 256 gigabytes of RAM. You would not believe what my machine is doing right now. Let me see if I can open the terminal. ASI top. Watch. Yeah. So you'll see, like right now, my machine is super screaming right now. And you'll see, let me see if I can get rid of this here. Let's see. Wrong password. I need to put in my password. Right? Okay, cool. So I have 256 gigabytes of RAM. And because I'm live streaming, because I'm not even running any like local models right now, because if I am running them, all of my RAM would just be gone. I'm streaming to 4 providers. I'm streaming to YouTube. I'm streaming to Twitch. I'm streaming to LinkedIn. I'm streaming to where else? X. And I'm using up all of my efficiency cores. That's the eGPU, 100%. I'm using up all of my performance cores. That's 100% usage right now. The GPU is chilling at 70% usage. And then I'm using 81 gigs of RAM right now just to run this entire live stream, all of the stuff that I have open. And I haven't even started to run any local models. So y'all see how this is like mad crazy. And this is an M3. This is an M3 Max machine. So I basically just went all the way in. We need to form an UNC group. I like this idea. Remember Lisa? Haha, 49 years old here, Apple II in elementary school. Yeah, actually that would be so cool. Like have like a UNC tag on my Discord so that everyone can tag themselves UNC. Actually, that's what I should do is just add some features to my Discord so everyone can chill. His Mac Studio probably costs more than my car. I have a MacBook Pro. It's probably like, I think it's like 8K or something. A sub because your streams helps a lot and inspires me to build every day. Oh man, that's so cool. I'm so glad, man. I'm like, this is the stuff I live for. The fact I could turn on my camera and just share back with y'all and kind of hang out for a little bit before I head on out, I think really means a lot to me. And yeah, the membership is so cool. I'm really glad that folks are able to join and participate in this stuff like here. So with that said, it's almost 12 o'clock and I actually have to go participate at a volunteer event here in Los Altos. So if you're in Los Altos, swing on by. There's a place called Arts Los Altos, and they're a really good cause. I run their tech for them and their website. So if you artslosaltos.org, this is basically what they do is just kind of do public art all over Los Altos, and they team up with local artists to implement them. And so they have a booth available right now. There's like a whole like town like celebration right now. So if you just come to downtown Los Altos, it's probably going to be a little bit challenging to park, but you can actually support public art this way. And I'm a donor, but I believe in their cause and everything. I think they do some really, really good stuff. They have all these murals all over town, which is super awesome. So they have these projects. And as far as like, I run their website and stuff like that. And so I'm kind of doing all of their tech stuff for them. So I'll be there. I'm giving some folks a break, and they actually have some current cool stuff that's going on with some public art where you can participate in a mural that is being painted right now live. So it's going on today and tomorrow, so you can swing on by downtown. I'll be downtown there in Los Altos. And yeah, if you're in the Bay Area, swing on through. Say hello. Let's cook, fam. All right, y'all. So yeah, I'm going to sign off, and I will see you tomorrow, hopefully at around 9 o'clock-ish Pacific Daylight Time, plus or minus. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. Get that little notification. Make sure to change it from personalized to all so you can see whenever I post. And I will see you tomorrow. Peace out, y'all.